Good evening and welcome to a special edition of the 19th hole and the 101 here on the Sports Insanity Network. I am your host, Mark Oldop Sky Halpern, and with me tonight is a legend in my field, basically. I've known this kid since he was 5 years old, maybe six, let's call it six, and been a little brother to me my entire life and a great partner as work goes, and great husband, as I am to understand, and a proud new daddy this year. Let's welcome in Aaron Mackles. Aaron, how are you?
Oh, I'm terrific. Thanks for having me. This is a great opportunity.
Yeah, I have been wanting to be able to start incorporating more and bring in the people who I know who have been around me and know what has gone on in the old Docs guy life. And you have been with me ever since you were a little kid up until you were yesterday, pretty much, as a close brother. And as we said, congratulations on the new baby.
Thank you.
And your hairline is sitting like it should, so you're doing good. You're doing
Absolutely.
good. So for all of you who don't know, Aaron, as I said, I've known Aaron since he was a little kid. And we're going to start off with the sport card talk. Both of us know our sports pretty well, except me in hockey. I don't deal in hockey because any sport where I can't pronounce the players' names isn't my interest in watching. So when I talk about playing sports with this guy, we played everything where we grew up, from football to stoop ball to butts up, you name it, we played it. The only thing we didn't get to play was frisbee golf because we didn't have a bigger place, so we just hit golf balls at people's houses. But I started the dugout of Millwood with the owner at that time of the pharmacy I worked at, and we took off very fast. And by the end of our first year, we were the only retail pharmacy in America with hobby accounts with Upper Deck, Tops, and Fleer at the time. Leaf and Pacific would join very shortly. And I was just starting this business out, and what better way to bring in somebody who knows the business just as well as I did. Aaron, mind you, I have many years on him as it is. Aaron joined the dugout of Millwood with me and two other employees. And basically, you could have laid the company in his hands and it would have been safe if needed. Aaron and I spent the majority of his high school and college years in and out of the card shows at the White Plains County Center to crazy epic stories, which we're going to get into. We started out at the East Coast National. One of our biggest shows was that year. And we had a couple of cards in the case where we had people arguing of. Let's see if Aaron remembers the two cards that we had in that case that year. So it was 2002, and to give you the exact year.
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Okay.
Those were, I mean, we can go back great times. Starting off as myself as a teenager, 15, 16 years old, and then as we crept up into those years, and Mark pulling these cards like you wouldn't imagine. So there's a Joey Harrington and an Ichiro.
You got, oh my God, he does remember the two.
I do, and I'm willing to bet whoever bought the Joey Harrington's probably kicking the tires right now. But
and I remember when we made the sale, mind you, the Ichiro Aaron is talking about, we have displayed on the 101 here on the Sports Insanity Network, is the Fleer Mystique 101 rookie. Now, 101s back then, as Aaron and I both know, were impossible to come by. They're not as easy as today when you can buy a $750 box of cards and get one in it. But back then, getting 101s were uncommon, and we went through a streak for about 4 or 5 months that every case we opened had 2 or 3 of them in it. And we had Fleer Mystique, and the boss at the time gave me free reign. And when I mean free reign, I walked around with his Amex Black card at the time, and no worries. And I'm sitting at home, and I'm opening up a case, and out of the second pack, you see that purple magenta line from Fleer. You knew what it was. I wasn't expecting it to be Ichiro. Ichiro Suzuki rookie, 1 of 1. Now, not autographed, no game used jersey. The real 1 of 1. How many different dealers did we have coming over, pulling us aside to go after those two specifically?
Yeah, and if you think about it, that was Albert Pujols and Ichiro, rookie years, and these shows, it's kind of a cult following, so everyone knows everyone, and certainly when you've got really young kids, and that's what we were. We were kids at the time, and showing up and cocky as we can ever be, and start putting the table together, and 1 or 2 flock by and kind of catch your eye a little bit, and then before we know it, I mean, we're talking hours and hours before the show even opened, and you've got basically everyone and their grandmother around the table jockeying for this
one card. And it ended up going to the guy from Japan. I remember that. I remember the price. Mind you, we see baseball cards on eBay all the time now going in the $50,000-$60,000 range. If the Ichiro was a gem mint and I still had it, yeah, maybe. We didn't get 50, 60 grand for it, but we got 12. And
come to think about it, I mean, and we're talking 20 years ago.
Yeah, we got 12 grand in cash. So if you really want to put money together, it's pretty close to probably what you would receive today. But the Joey Harrington, we have one guy coming back and forth. I think I had it priced at about $750, thinking no one was ever going to offer it for that. But he was the starting quarterback for the Lions. I mean, anything was possible with that team back then. And I think we sold it for about $600. It's probably worth not even $6 right now.
I mean, it was a nice piece, and at the time, I mean, you think about it, they've got Calvin Johnson, and certainly had the talent. Too bad they're playing in the wrong division, and nothing's changed in 20 years. But no, that was a nice piece, because that was really before the patches and all of that really started to get popular. So that's one of the reasons you're able to get at least a high dollar amount for a really unique card at the time.
Right. Now, as you said, we were a bunch of kids, really. I mean, at that time, I'm just barely over 24, 25 years old. Aaron and the guys who worked with me, not for me, they worked with me. And I want to make sure that's understood. They were 16 years old walking around with gangster rolls in their pockets. They had free reign to buy. And dealers flocked to us, but we weren't afraid to spend money. However, it was my mother who would end up yelling and screaming more with the mess we left the basement with all the packs and wrappers and garbage bags full of stuff. But we had amazing times at the shows, and we used to do 3-4 a year, and just at the county center. And one of the shows I remember is a weekend, and right before the end of the school year, and Aaron had walked off to go find out something. We're talking about dinner, and of course, it's us. We're getting P.F. Chang's for dinner this night. So Aaron had drove to get P.F. Chang's, and he hadn't come back yet. Still hadn't come back yet. So we're like, oh shit, what happened? He comes running in with the food, says, dudes, I'm done. I gotta go. Why?
So that was that would have been 2000. That would have been, God, yeah, I think probably 2002. Now that I think about it. So show after, Yeah, so that's when again you know 17-year-old and you get the back in the day then you get the nice fat envelope, and that's when I found out I got into college.
So it's me, Aaron, and one other. I believe it was Nick Ewan at the time. At the show, Aaron comes literally running with the biggest smile on his face. So, with the stories we've had in our lifetime, which we're going to tell a bunch tonight, we're all thinking this. Nick and I are thinking this is going to be hysterical. When I mean Aaron literally threw us the food, he threw it on the table and said, "I'm out, gone." And he said, "I got into UMass. I'm going on. I'm going to Subway." I'm like, "Go, get out, goodbye."
Yeah.
Nick said, "Wait, I got to go see if I have stuff." I said, "You didn't get anything. You're not getting it anywhere. You're staying here." Aaron deserved to get into whatever school he wanted to. Brilliant kid. He's very smart, but cocky for a kid his age. When you give a 16-year-old free range. And at the start of one of the last years we did shows, the highlight of breaking, I believe it was done by Fleer. They had put out the first autographed items in boxes ever. They did hats and they did mini helmets. And we must have opened 3 or 4 cases at the store. I had them all set up on the thing. And Aaron's like, "I'm feeling good about this box across the way. I'm going to get it." I'm like, "How much is selling for?" He's like, "Doesn't matter. I'm feeling good." Yeah, Aaron comes back, flips the box, says, I gotta go away for a minute. What does Aaron pull? The 5th of them that we have at the table. Do you remember the helmet? Cincinnati Reds.
Oh, was it Adam Dunn?
Yes.
Yeah.
Adam Dunn was like the Hayden Hurst now. You would get him in every pack.
Yeah.
And boxes back then at that, I mean, at $110, that was the highest point of boxes, really. Nowadays, yeah, you find jersey boxes for $80-$90, but this was the start. And we never had any of the rare runs. We had all the common ones. And by the time it was all said and done, we were just happy to get rid of them all. One product that has not changed that I remember we were going nuts on. National Treasures was originally introduced as Prime Cuts before it became National Treasures. And we started with Prime Cuts and we were busting tins of this. And I mean tins, because that's how they came. They came in little metal tins, but this was the first real autographed one-of-ones that ever came out. And people were paying through the roof for anything that was autographed because a lot of it was old timers that you couldn't get. And now you were getting them. And then Greats of the Game came out where we had box loads. Now, when I say box loads, I'm talking about all the common singles and mind you, I rarely did it. I made these guys do it, unfortunately. And by the end of the day, they could taste the ink in their fingers. Every case that we opened, we had white boxes. Now, if you know what I mean, these white 4-column boxes that people flock to for set fillers they're looking for, or common players. And I think one year where we had the East Coast National, we had like 16 of them all laid out. And the amount of work that was put in to do these guys never really saw in the beginning. But through great meals and great other things, we made up for it. But one of the funniest stories happens to be not another food order. So, of course, lunchtime, and if you ate at the county center, you really only had one choice, and that was Nathan's everything. And after the first day, the smell of it made you sick.
Pretty much.
And we're right in White Plains, which is close to Hartsdale. What's in Hartsdale? The greatest sandwich shop in the world. Well, it's not a sandwich shop, kosher deli in the world. Epstein's Kosher. And Aaron's like, "What do you want to do for dinner?" I said, "Let's get Epstein's." Well, word came around that we were getting Epstein's. And Aaron comes back. Aaron says, "Well, what are we getting?" And so I'm handing Aaron lists of things. And one of them on there is a ham and cheese sandwich. Not noticing it was written. Aaron, you got to tell this one.
Way to put me. Well, obviously,
Way to put you on the spot. Yes.
I mean, my memory's not that great, but obviously Epstein's is a kosher deli, so there's no
Yes.
ham and cheese.
So
and
Aaron calls us yelling, "What the hell are you?" Mind you, we're gonna make this explicit tonight. What the fuck are you guys doing? Putting a ham and cheese, the most non-kosher fucking things you can have on an order at a kosher deli. So luckily, as Aaron walks out, there's a Stu Leonard's, and he was able to go run and get a ham and cheese. But some of the things we did at the shows, we would test other dealers, and we came to meet a dealer by the name of Richard Dulcie. And one of the shows, it was Ricky Williams' rookie year. So the only reason I remember it is we had 7 SP Authentic rookies, and we were selling them without a problem. And we had this one guy who would keep coming back, trying to haggle us. We're like, no. And I said, you know what? Finally, he comes back in. He says, you have it? I said, no, I sold it. And he's arguing, and I yell across. Mind you, this is maybe 2 days we've known the guy. Yo, Uncle Rich, you got this card? Yeah, nephew, I do. Go to him. He'll get it. Rich made the sale, and after that, he was Uncle Rich to us.
Sure
Rich Dulcie passed away a year ago, unfortunately, due to cancer, so we do miss him. But Rich Dulcie was into the business of reselling like we did with those white cards, the white boxes. And the great thing about it was we could bust case after case after case and not have to deal with those things anymore, because Rich Dulcie used to come and pick them up. And then we get to the show and they all be lying out there, and he's stealing out the money from that he's making on those. We didn't care. We were making money on our singles. But he was a dealer that was different. Now, most baseball card dealers really get a reputation of being, let's call it how it is, scumbags.
Oh, they're salesmen. So
right. And this baseball card market, if Aaron and I would have told you 25 years ago that flawless baseball would come in a briefcase with diamond and cards and stuff like this, and cases selling at $15,000, I would have told you this, or my old boss 20 years ago, I would have been laughed right out the door. But in actuality, cards are just more expensive now than ever.
Yeah.
And what's going on now is something we've talked about on the 101, and it's something that Aaron and I would have been absolutely amazing at, and that's breakers. Right now, across this country, on Facebook, on YouTube, there are guys who have direct accounts and they sell cases online. They sell teams, they sell you random, and you get a team, you get a random player, whatever. And their job is to sit and open cases and mail you your cards. That's what we did. And if the internet was as capable 25 years ago, we would not only would have owned this part of the business, we would have been one of the original breakers easily, because convincing our old boss at that time would have been easy. We sit there, he doesn't have to pay us for travel, anything like this, just pays us for our hours. We're opening boxes online, putting them in holders and mailing them out. There are guys who, one of the fellowships of SIN, Top Notch Sports, just bought himself a building from this type of business and bought himself a shop. And he's doing amazing right now. Can you imagine 25 years ago, Aaron, me going to Richard Galazzer, mind you, Drug Mart of Millwood is not a sponsor. I go to Rich Galazzer and say, look, here's the new business line. I need $100,000 to start and we're good to go. Would have Rich given us that money?
Seeing the ROI, he was seeing at the time, I don't think he'd even blink.
Exactly. We hustled. And I mean, when I say hustled, we didn't just do work at our store in the pharmacy. Aaron was out making deals. I was out making deals at the shows. Aaron was the perfect person to send to everybody's table to find out, because there's something about Aaron is that he has class, unlike the scumbag that I am, and I just talk how I talk. Aaron's able to blend into situations And Aaron would go out and come back with a nice list. Yeah, this guy has it here, here, and here. We repriced the whole set, what we have out. But I don't remember the exact year. It was during the summer, so it was an East Coast National. And it was our first full table that we bought. So a full table is basically a big square in the county center. If you don't know what that is, 8 feet across each way and filled to the brim with everything. We get everything set up. It's cloudy, it's raining a little bit. The friggin' Northeast power goes out.
Yeah.
And at a time that, like Aaron said, the ROI, we easily had $100,000 in those card cases on the table. The power goes out. Aaron jumps on one table on top of the cases. I'm jumping on the other because there's people in the show, and you don't want people diving into your cases, slamming glass doors down, making sure no one. Yeah, the Northeast went without power. However, a lot of dealers left. We didn't. We were there when they opened the county center the next morning on generator power with flashlights, and we had one of the best shows ever because we were one of the last dealers to stay.
It was hot though. That was the big thing.
Oh yeah, the county center just like became a hot box, but not in a good way.
I remember it was like a brownout, and all of New York City was it was pretty chaotic at the time.
And it was just the mannerisms from all the hobby dealers there yelling and screaming at the people at the county. Not their fault. They didn't do it. It's not like they cut the power. And the next day, when it was considered a national issue, they able to activate the little clause in their policy. They didn't have to refund anybody. That's why we stayed. We had already paid for the show. I mean, that's $2,000 right there. And $2,000 then is basically what it is now. It's about $6,000 for a table now at certain locales. And looking at Aaron's face,
that's crazy.
It's like, but the ROI, if we could have kept it going as long as we did, would have been amazing. I mean, we used to come back to the store and Rich would be like, yeah, how you did? And we're just handing him stacks and stacks. And he's like, there is no way you did this at a card show. Unless Aaron and I were selling all the prescriptions at a drug mart in my car illegally. No, these were all card sales. And card sales were the kitty cocaine and kitty crack of our time. Because everybody wanted it at that time, especially with the comeback it's made. But baseball cards isn't only what Aaron and I used to do. You know, the baseball cards was what's the business end. Something Aaron and I are both into as part of the sports attending is golf. And Aaron and I have played golf so many times when he used to be in New York before he has ventured out with his new family, and where he's living now, he's got a golf course wherever he throws the ball, basically, if he wanted to. And if you would have asked me when we used to play golf, could Aaron have made the Westchester Open and played? Yes, Aaron was good enough a golfer to do that. I wasn't.
I'm being
not
that
nice.
good. You're being a little modest there,
but there was something about golf that always seemed to bring the best out of us, and also the worst out of us at the same time. Aaron being the better golfer than me. That's something we can agree on, right? That you were definitely a better golfer than me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Definitely a better golfer than me. Let's put it this way. Jack Nicklaus, if he was 120 years old, probably would have been a better golfer than me.
We were there out for the company anyway.
Exactly. And there was no... we were, when we would... The course we used to love to play, and you could always get on Sprain Lake.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right in Yonkers, you know. And it was a great course, too. Short. But it attracted the most golfers. And one year, we were coming on the 6th hole, and it's a nice dog leg right. And Aaron hit the shot right down the center of the fairway and right at the bend. I'm somewhere in the woods as usual. And the group in front of us are 4 old ladies. And we're not talking 55, 60 years old. We're talking golden girl age, in their 70s at least. And Aaron has a clear shot at the pin, no problem. And for Aaron, I mean, him hitting his irons, we got him close. So Aaron takes out his iron, and he gets himself set. And I'm like, yeah, they're walking off. I think you're fine. We didn't anticipate them stopping for 3 seconds to talk to one another. So Aaron hits a shot that is dead straight. I'm like, that's carrying. I'm like, Aaron, yell. Aaron, yell, as these little old ladies are what? Maybe a foot or 2 apart in the twosome.
Yep.
And the ball, Aaron yells, literally as the ball's at the peak of the arc, because you can see it and it's coming down. I'm gonna let Aaron finish this one.
Yeah, so obviously I yell the proverbial 4, as golfers do. It drops right in between them, and then what did they say, Mark?
It said, "Are you crazy?"
I
And
fucking yelled.
But see, here's the thing. I know Aaron has kids living, so he can't yell it out loud. But that sentence that Aaron said was yelled back at them. I fucking yelled. We mind you, after that, we're getting up to the hole, and I'm like, yeah, let them go. Let them go. I really don't want to face them. But that was just one instance in, out of a lot. We have other instances that are not safe for little kids' ears, and this is a family show. And I'll let Aaron laugh because he knows the one story we're not going to tell, and we're going to let that pass. But another great one is one thing Aaron and I used to do on the golf course is not only have a great cigar. We would get a pack of the nice, good, small Macanudos from Glosser. We also had a couple beers per hole every now and then. And we went back to get one of my clubs on the 17th hole. And we're driving back, and there's this little stone bridge. And I'm a little tipsy. There's no 2 ways about it. Because the cart is going a little left to right. Aaron was okay. He was fine. All of a sudden, we're driving. I said, yeah, we're going to get there.
Popped a tire.
I popped, and this is not easy to accomplish. I'm like, we're good. He said, dude, no. The cart is literally dipping. We're not good. I said, we're good. We're getting back. He said, Mark, we're not good. Well, I got us back. The clubhouse attendant was not happy.
No, especially he could tell we had a few cocktails. One thing also to keep in mind is, so we golfed, we had a good time, but Mark and I were a bit of degenerate gamblers a little bit as well. So
we still are.
The 16th hole, which had that bridge, but it had a creek, and that's that was one of many. Was all right, longest drive, but normally to get to the longest drive is you pretty much had to come either close to it or try and get over.
And you had to,
you had to clear it.
You had to clear it to get to that next fairway.
There's plenty of bantering back and forth. I think we look forward to some of those. That was still a par 4, but some of those holes that we could put our money where our mouth is.
We used to do long drives from this hole, and we would. I bust out the Callaway ERC. I believe.
And let me be clear on this. Is Mark might have prefaced that my handicap's a little bit lower. The man could drive. He could hit a driver. So when it came to these longest drives, we tend to go toe to toe for the longest time.
And to clear the creek, mind you, from the tee box, and we weren't I'm going to say we weren't pussies. We didn't play from the ladies' tees, right? We played from the back. And from that tee box to clear the creek, it's easy 260 yards just in the air to clear that creek. Would you think I'm close?
Yeah, probably now 260 yards feels like a pitching wedge in, but yeah, it was probably closer to like 275, and
And I had been losing to this kid all day. And when I mean losing, we would put money didn't matter to us at this time. Now, yes, that sounds a little egotistic and gloating a little bit. But really, I mean, the money we would get from the card show just financed us gambling and giving it to one another anyway. And this hole was a habitual gambling hole for us. It could be and it was always the longest drive. And there was more mulligans on this hole than, than any other. But one of them, and mind you, yes, it was a very rarity that I would beat him on anything. I always was the one buying dinner and losing. But one of them, Aaron poked one. And when I mean he's on the edge on the other side of the creek, landed, and he's like, I'm done. Dinner's mine. And I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, yeah, I'm like, what the hell? I grip it and rip it. And Aaron's like, are you fucking serious? The ball didn't just clear his. It cleared a good another 35 yards.
At least.
And Aaron's like, you have to keep that one. That ball's sitting on my shelf still. I mean, that drive had to have been over 300 yards. And Aaron's right. We were degenerative gamblers on that course. Anything we could do. I mean, and we went through many different hazards, from the bunkers to pins being dropped in our faces after mouth surgery. But that's another story off air. But one thing you could always guarantee about when I went golfing with Aaron was the fun we would have.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the fun of other stories we're going to get into in a few minutes. But like Aaron said, the company. You could go out and play golf with your best friends, brothers, family, whatever. I don't think I was ever more comfortable playing a sport than going out with him on a golf course at any given time, wherever we played. And we played all over Westchester, everything from Mohansick to Dunwoody. We played. We even played whatever the new one in Ossining. I don't even remember it anymore. Century. It's not new anymore. It was new to us when Aaron was going to college. Let's put it that way. And we'd go every weekend. It'd be easy. Holidays, we'd work till 1 and then go golfing. One of the greatest stories is we went, I believe it was, I'm pretty sure it was Dunwoody. And we were to some going out. We were probably about 5 holes in, where the ranger comes up and says, we're going to be forcing another group to join with you if that's okay. And we're like, whatever, fine. It's not like we were moving because the group's in front of us. There was never more time I was scared to be on a golf course. So
yeah, they were
the two guys we got paired. Yeah. In so many words, they were connected. Yes. And you ever heard the term, you have to stick up your ass and you're walking tightly? Yeah. Mind you, this is two guys who would open their mouths. Me and Aaron would open our mouths, bet. Yeah, we weren't opening our mouths around these guys because I was afraid what was going to happen. There were a couple of holes we didn't even putt on. We said 5-5. We're good. We're walking off to keep pace with these guys. Because when you hear the stories of mobsters back then, and the nice fitting pants, the nice shirts, the multitude of bracelets and jewelry, these guys were the John Gottis, but younger.
Yeah.
And literally, when you talk about walking on eggshells, that's what we did. And anytime that was a good drive, great drive. Yeah, high five. Yeah, we were never more happy to get off the course then. But one of the times, and I'm not sure how much Aaron is going to remember. So Nick Ewan was one of the guys who worked with us during the card show, early days on, before it was just Aaron and myself, before Nick went off. And we're on Spring Lake. And one thing Spring Lake was used to was geese. A lot of geese. And Aaron is over on the other side of whatever hole we were on. And all of a sudden, this flock of geese come flying low. And Aaron drops, I drop, and Nick is just standing there with his hands over his head. And he says, I can't believe it. I made it through. And then he steps in all the piles of crap that's right around him. That is one thing Westchester County courses were known for, and they still are, except the ones you can't get on, is they were not in the best conditions.
You
They
get
used
what
to
you
put-
pay. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, well, they pretty much. But to go out golfing with this guy was a treat because anything could happen. Anything from disastrous to unbelievable. And one thing Aaron and I were very, very picky about was the amount of time. I don't want to say picky. The amount of the time we spent on a course compared to what we were supposed to do in a normal day.
Yeah.
And one of the times on Spring Lake, we decided to walk it. Good for the old man. Walk 7,000 yards. Yeah, the day we chose happened to be the hottest friggin' day ending up. And I think it had to have been over 100 degrees by the time we were making the turn. We walked up and begged for a cart. Even to the point, throwing cash. Here's $40. Give me a cart. Beer never tasted so good on that day. Beer never screwed us so much up on that day. I have to say, over my time with Aaron is lucky time that I got to spend with him. Most of everybody who knows my backstory between the constant back surgeries and the health that I've pretty much been known here on SIN, Aaron knew me before that. And before that, things were different. Before my back injuries and everything, before the old man withered out, I was outgoing. We used to go to many sporting events. And mind you, I know we have SIN members here and listening, and they're going to love a couple of these. So, Aaron Mackles is a die-hard fan of the
New York Yankees
and
Green Bay Packers,
which is almost as bad as me, New York Mets and Dallas Cowboys. Two guys love home baseball teams, but we have to have away football teams. It just goes to show you, And we used to go to every Subway Series. And one of the most faithful Subway Series, and probably the greatest time ever, I believe it was with Alex. I'm almost sure Alex was the other one with us. We get into the car and it starts to pour. And Aaron are like, are you kidding me? We go down to the stadium anyway because it stopped. We get into the stadium. I buy 3 beers, 3 hot dogs. We get sitting down in the seats. Attention fans. And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
They called a game.
They called the game. Now I'm down like $30 in beers and hot dogs already. And then we hear the next announcement. Today's game will be made up as a doubleheader for Saturday. We had tickets for the Saturday night game already. So we knew we were going to be at Yankee Stadium for a doubleheader. And we were going nuts. The only bad thing is Alex had to work. He couldn't join us. So I believe we had given the ticket to one of the Drug Mart faithful at that time. And we're there for 2 games. So what do? We're bringing food. We're bringing food to Yankee Stadium parking lots. In my Mets car with my Mets license plates. Aaron brings the little grill. Mind you, just a bunch of guys, beer. And we got some hamburger patties. And Aaron's like, how much lighter food do I can put on these? I'm like, make sure not on them, just put it in the grill. Well, Aaron just squirted it everywhere.
Keep in mind, I had way too much to drink before this game, and should not have been operating a grill at the time.
And we get them cooked, and everything looks good, and we take a bite, and you see, I believe it was it Jared who was with us?
Yeah,
I think it was Jared.
It was Jared.
And he takes a bite, and he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "What is what?" He says, take a bite. I'm like, okay. And I'm like, what is that? Aaron's like, come on, a little lighter fluid down with your hamburger is fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, as you look down at the grill, this meat was turning colors from the food. And we scarfed down, and we didn't care. We were hungry and drunk, so we're eating them anyway. If we would have, anytime you belched, all you had was this aftertaste of lighter fluid. If we would have held up a lighter and the belch, I am almost convinced we would have had a blowtorch. That was just one. I took on Yankee Stadium at one time, and I was super drunk. And it was the same day. The Mets were getting their ass kicked. I'm drunk, and I couldn't take the yelling from not only Aaron, smacking me upside the head, going nuts. The guys behind me. I'm at Yankee Stadium, and probably one of the few Mets fans in the section. What do? I get up. Piss drunk is pretty much what it was. Anybody who knows, if you go to Yankee Stadium and you're wearing an opposite team jersey, it's best to keep your mouth shut. Yeah, not really my best of moments as I get down the steps. And what do I do? I turn and say, come on, I'll fight you all. Bring it on. I'm flipping off Yankee fans left and right. I remember stumbling the car and sleeping for until the next game. Didn't stop us from drinking after that. I'm like, I slept it off in the car. Let's go. I don't remember coming home.
We had a designated driver. Let's preface that. We did not drive home.
No, that night, no. I don't remember how we got home, but we got home. I don't think it was me driving my own car at that point. Let's put it.
I think Jared.
Did we give Jared the keys? I think he just got his license.
He was like 16 at the time. I think he drove.
It was fine. But that wasn't the only doubleheader we went to. That wasn't the only exciting doubleheader we went to. It was a day that we had tickets for the Yankee game at Yankee Stadium, courtesy of my boss. Now, that's one thing. When Aaron and I did well at card shows, we were sprinkled with tickets from the Yankees to the Rangers if we wanted them. We mostly went to Yankee and Knick games, mostly. But the Mets and Yankees had a doubleheader split. One at Yankee, one at this time, one at City.
The first one ever.
Yeah.
This just tells you how old we are because it was
it was a long time ago.
And
we said, we're going to do this. We're going to go to both games. And we went to both games. What a friggin' day. Drive out to Yankee Stadium, get done with the game, get in the car, drive out to Citi Field. However, after the game, wasn't a very good day for the Mets. After the game, this man gets on the air. Well, gets in front of a TV camera. Go ahead.
I think it was like what was Channel 7 News stopped us, and we had just an opportunity to really talk about the experience of the day of this is how I'll remember Matsui hit a home run because that's at Yankee Stadium, and then I think the Mets gave it a good old college try, but lost at Shea. And I remember coming into work the next day, and the head pharmacist at the time was just like, "You guys were on the 11 o'clock news last night."
I was not on camera. He was, because I'm walking out of the pitiful Mets fan, shaking my head, and he runs right to the camera. I mean, this was a big one, and being at the time when this was just starting, the Subway Series, this was a big moment. Yeah, this was a big moment. So, now Aaron is known in our time of being the cockiest one of the whole group. Aaron always had that attitude and that bravado. And one card show, it was a famous, there's many, many famous Yankee Red Sox games. And Bucky Dent hit a famous home run off of a Boston Red Sox pitcher. Now, Aaron, do you remember who this pitcher was? Because I don't.
Wait,
I
Bucky.
think it was Torres, to be honest. I'm not sure. This is where we're allowed to look up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because he was at the show.
He was at the show.
You're right. And I gave him so much shit.
It was, hold on one second. It was 40, I mean, now it's 40 years ago. It was, of course, my eyes aren't that small to find the one goddamn name I need. Let's put it this way. I believe it was a Latin player, pitcher on the Red Sox. I think it was Torres, to be honest. I'm not sure. And Bucky Dent and him were signing the picture. And Aaron goes up. He's got the Yankee jersey on. He's got the Jeter number on the back. Bucky Dent signs his.
Mike Torres.
Mike Torres.
Yeah.
And getting the dual autograph. Aaron hands his picture over to Manny Torres and says, "Thanks for giving up that home run to Bucky," and runs out the room. I'm standing there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting an autograph now. But Aaron was the only one to insult a Red Sox pitcher. It was great to get yelled at by Tom Seaver. Now, this is a story the SIN guys had never heard, and I was going to save it for this night. When we used to go to card shows, one of the big greatnesses was that our boss let us get autographs for ourselves. If there was somebody big, anybody small, we would take care of. And Tom Seaver was at the show. And Aaron got an autograph. I got an autograph. And I had to send Aaron back to go get an autograph for my boss. Tom Seaver was not happy that Aaron's like zigzagging through the line as a dealer. As dealers, Gloria Rossi used to give us a little bit of VIP treatment and cut the line. Yeah, well, Tom Seaver wasn't too happy with Aaron coming back for the autograph because we would get him for free. And I believe his choice words was, "I don't give a fuck about your boss. Here's the ball, go away." That ball still sits on my shelf today.
Typical Met.
But that was one. Aaron and I, as he liked to say, we're degenerate gamblers, and as I said, still are probably. We went, and I said, our biggest thing was Mets Yankees. No matter what it was doing, always Mets Yankees. And we went to some memorable games, especially one in the middle of the school year. My boss gives me a reward. Now, that time, Aaron's up at UMass, and Aaron's in school. He says, "You know what? Why don't you take my tickets for the Yankee Red Sox game tomorrow at 1:00?" I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Who the hell am I going to take?" So, not knowing Aaron's schedule, I call him, and he's up at school, and I'm like, "Shit." And I said, "No." He says, "What's up?" I said, "No, Rich had given me his tickets for the Yankee Red Sox, and I'll see if you were going to be home." He says, "I'll be home in about 5 hours. No problem." Hangs up the phone. Literally, well, I want to say literally, within 5-6 hours, you get a phone call. "I'm home. What time do you want to leave?" This kid jumped in his car to come all the way back just to go to a ball game. Mind you, yes, it's with me, but it's Yankee Red Sox. This kid didn't miss a Yankee Red Sox anything. After the game, I'm drunk as hell. And one thing is, like Aaron said, Matsui, whatever it was with me and Hideki Matsui, if I was at a Yankee game with them and I was at Yankee Stadium, Matsui would hit a home run. It was a guarantee. And we used to have a guy in front of us, and this guy was, and I thought I'm a crazy Mets fan, and Aaron was a crazy Yankee fan. His name was Lou. And this guy was in front of us, and this guy was die hard. Old Mickey Mantle jersey, and
lived in Rhode Island.
Yes.
And drove in
for the games.
For the Yankee games.
And we're at a game, and Aaron and I told him, said, "You know Matsui's hitting a home run." Aaron's like, "Oh yeah, we're here." And he turns around, "Matsui hits a home run. I'll buy you guys as many beers and whatever you want." Yeah, in the first inning, Matsui hit a home run. And this guy didn't know what happened. He didn't know what Aaron could drink. Now, Aaron could drink better than I can. But Aaron liked beer. I'm not a big beer guy.
I was in college.
So, but yeah, I mean, beer is your life in college. But I'm not a big beer guy, but what else? You're not drinking whiskey sours at Yankee Stadium. Yeah, your choice is beer, soda, or water. So it's not like you get a choice. We packed it away. Got home, whatever, and my boss goes to one of the game, comes back and says, "How many friggin' beers did the two of you drink with Lou that day?" "Oh, I came back to the store drunk and worked drunk." I said, "I don't remember." He said, "You came to work after Lou." I said, "Yeah." He says, "I'll give you credit." Rich, by all means, was never a drinker. The guy didn't, maybe had a sip of beer. He wasn't a drinker. Knew what this guy was. And this guy would wait till we came to games. And he was buying dinners, buying this and buying that. But I don't know if there's two more memorable stories. And one of them goes back to a Mets game at Shea Stadium. Now, I don't condone certain things, and we're not going to go with the exact thing what happened, but it shines a bad light on me, so that's okay. Now, I take Aaron to the game, and Aaron's being the big guy he is, brings 2 cans of beer. Mind you, Aaron is also underage at the time. I don't care. It's me. I contributed to the delinquency of a minor. Statute of limitations is off, and yes, I did look this up, so I am protected. Aaron brings 2 beers, and I'm said, put the beer in the car, so it can't be seen because there's no drinking in the Shea parking lot, apparently. I didn't know this. And Aaron's like, "We're not going to get caught. Don't worry about it." And I'm like, "Fine." I take a sip of the beer, and Aaron says, "Put him away." 2 cops saw it immediately. I'm like, fuck. Now, what's going through my mind? It's not the fact I'm drinking beer. It's not the fact that I have an open canister. It's the fact that I have an underage kid with me, and these are NYPD cops.
Yes, and this is it's pre 9/11.
And
never would have happened in the Bronx, I'll tell you that.
No, this would never have happened in the Bronx. As the cop come over, Aaron throws the beer out. Now, good luck for me is that Aaron always looks a little older than he is. Not to say that now he looks like an old man, but when Aaron was about 18, you could easily pass him for 21. He looked it, and he acted it. That's the whole key. So Aaron threw his on the ground. I just chugged the shit out of mine. And the cop goes up to me and he says, "With that beer?" I'm not going to lie to a New York cop. Thinking I'm going to get out of it, I'm like, "Yes, officer, it was." And he says, "What about his?" And I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm done. Going to jail. I'm going to be ganged. This is Oz starting for me. I'm done. And the cop doesn't card him. And he says, "I'm going to cite you." I said, "Give me a ticket. My fault. I'm the one who got caught." And they said, "Let me have your driver's license." I'm like, "Don't ask for your driver's license." Aaron's like, Aaron hasn't said a word. Aaron's dead silent. Cops walk away, and I have the ticket.
And Aaron's like, "Can I outrun this guy?" Probably not.
So I get the ticket and I bring it back, and I send it in. I write a letter stating what happened. Now, mind you, at where we were parked, every other friggin' lamppost in the Shea Stadium has this sign on it. Yeah, we didn't see that sign because it was half a section over. And it says no drinking or violators will be prosecuted. Well, I sent the ticket back with a letter. A year later, I get a letter from the court. It was thrown out because that's, they're not going to wait for me to come down and go fight this because I chose to fight the ticket. They just let it go after a year. I easily would have done a little time for that. And it would have been screwed. But we had a record-setting day at Yankee Stadium with a guy named Carlos Delgado. I didn't get many lucky chances in my life, and that was just Carlos Delgado went on a tear. But Aaron and I always made a familiar bet. Now, to save Aaron the humiliation, I could not find pictures on my computer. To save him a little humiliation. We used to make a bet. Now that I also carry this on with some of the SIM members when I get to see them, which would be nice. And most of you guys are listening. One of them being in DC right now. Aaron and I used to make a friendly bet. Whoever won the series would have to take a picture with the hat and jersey of the person what was wearing. And one, not once, not twice, but 3 times. But I only have pictures from 2 of them, but I don't have them here. So we're going to save Aaron that embarrassment. So his company can't, laugh at him. It's when you have gotten to this kid, and it takes a lot because he's got a very thick skin. And, you talk trash about the Yankees. All he has to say is 26 championships. Thank you. And then that's all he has to say because that shuts everybody up. But we're at this game, and it was one of the best we had seen. We're in right field in the upper decks. And one great pitcher, John Franco, has my heart beating. If the Mets lose this series, I'm wearing a Yankee jersey and a Yankee hat and taking pictures. Anyone who knows me, that would have been like ultimately ripping out my heart and stomping on it. However, Kaz Matsui steals home and John Franco gets the save on a questionable pitch. And Aaron is dreading having to put on this jersey. I've seen this kid cry 3 times in my entire life. Once when he hurt his shoulder playing baseball and he wasn't allowed to play. You tell this kid he wasn't allowed to play baseball because of an injury, yeah, you would get a fight. This kid, if he had to, would have played with a broken leg, a broken ankle, and a separated shoulder, and he still would have produced a hit and a couple of strikeouts or great throws from the outfield. To put a Met jersey on this kid broke him. And I'm only going to describe the picture because I'm not here to embarrass the guy, but it's a great story. That's the only reason why we're telling it.
Yeah.
He gets out of the car and I'm smiling the whole drive home and he's just sitting there shaking his head. It's a rarity that we're silent. It's a rarity we're silent during a car ride home. And Aaron gets out of the car and he starts walking. We lived in the same condominium complex, which made it great. So, easy to drive home and go there. And this wasn't at a time where people, what would you gas money? We didn't do that. We went. No shit. But we get out of the car. And I said, where are you going? He said, home. I said, you're putting it on. He said, no. I said, this was the bet. Now, one thing, we've always honored each other's bets. So I knew eventually it was going to happen. But he said, fuck it, I'm getting it over with. He puts on the David Wright jersey and a Met hat. And I made him take off his Yankee jersey. He couldn't put it on over that. And I take the picture. Now, similar instance happened a year later, and I take another picture. Both times, him crying. Once at Ledgewood Commons and once in White Plains. But the funny part about both of these pictures is they resurfaced somewhere. And this is what makes these pictures, as I said, this is a newer computer, so I don't have them on this one. As a groomsman to this guy's wedding, I was honored to be asked as a groomsman to this guy's wedding. Now, mind you, also, he was the best man at my wedding. But that's also because we were very tight and very close. But at a groomsman at this guy's wedding, the best man had said, does anybody have anything embarrassing about Aaron?
Yeah.
And all of them look at me. They said, Halpern, you got anything? And I'm like, would him in a Metro? They said, when, where, how? I said, no problem. At that time, you couldn't really send pictures over phones. It was not that good as quality. Went home, emailed them. And where did these pictures surface?
Yeah, my wedding.
It was the ultimate. I don't want to say F you because that's not what it was.
No,
it was
phenomenal.
As groomsmen, you got to find things to do for the guy. My job was to embarrass him. We did that with these 2 pictures because as the pictures made their way around, the laughter was great of looking at Aaron. And I remember this fondly. Not only your dad had to come up to me and said, did he really take those pictures? I said, no, that's your son. And Scott Mackles, I'm sure you'll listen to this one day. I miss you. I hope everything is well. Aaron's family was always a second family to me. Anytime something was going on, whether it was at Ledgewood, at work, because mind you, Aaron worked with me, at Drug Mart in the dugout for many years. Our families basically everybody would see everybody every day. That's how close we are. And that's what Ledgewood was. Once Aaron moved to White Plains, we had a weekly setup where we'd be able to see each other. When the kid moved to Minneapolis, I laughed because he was moving into the snow belt. And this is a kid who did not like snow. However, when you get offered the job that he did and earned, absolutely. But he's now back on the East Coast, and he's in the right place not to have to deal with snow, really. South Carolina does not get that much snow.
It doesn't get any snow.
Right. So they get a snowflake down there. They shut down the schools. They shut down the state because I believe South Carolina is one of the few states that does not have snow plows. They don't buy them because they don't need them.
No, there's no snow. Not only is there no snow plows, when I first got down here and there was a threat of ice, I told my team to go out and get some ice melt, and they literally looked at me and goes, "What the hell are you talking about?" Like ice melt, like Home Depot, Lowe's, they sell it. No, they don't.
Because you don't need it in that part of the country usually. I mean, South Carolina, really sees above, not 70s and 80s during the winter, but they're in the high 40s, low 50s.
It'll get below freezing a little bit, but not much.
Yeah, not compared to New York and Minneapolis. But it's funny to just a picture. I mean, if you lived in Ledgewood, it was the worst plowed place ever. However, snow football in that backyard, there was nothing better. But we ended up, I laughed when he moved to Minneapolis, and then like the first winter he's there, they get like a record number of storms. I think that did it to this kid and moved them back to the East Coast. One thing I can say about Aaron is that he went to UMass and got a degree in sports management. And if you were to put a dollar on what Aaron would have done, sports agency is what I would have seen him in. He was the next Arliss. That's how I want to put him. Cocky, but could get the deal done no matter what. And that's one thing you could always count on from Aaron. Now I'm going to tout the end of our thing with a story about the old ops guy here. And this is a story that was told at my wedding. And it's not a story I share a lot because not a lot of people will believe the story. But as I said, Aaron knew me before the surgeries and everything. And one thing I always cared about is the U.S. military, because my family has fought in almost every war. I know many of families who've had members of their family in the wars going back as far as we can remember. And one fateful day, Aaron and I go to City Field and at a game. And this is probably about a year before I'm getting married, And when you go to City Field, you got to go get a sausage and pepper. I mean, it's one of the best meals. That and the tacos. I mean, those are unbelievable. And I believe it had to have been either Memorial Day weekend it had to have been Memorial Day weekend. And behind us were the three nicest guys, and I believe they were Marines. And they were nice guys. And I want to go get the sausage and pepper, and I had to go to the bathroom as well. So I said to Aaron, when you see the hot dog guy, buy these three guys around the beers, hot dogs. I give him my credit card. I'm going to let Aaron tell this part of it because nobody tells it better.
Oh, I mean, I do. I remember that part. I'll never forget.
It's when I came back.
Oh, when you came back, you got the bill probably.
When I came back to the section, I get back and there's not three Marines. There's like 25. And Aaron and the guy with the hot dogs is there handing them each beers. And I'm sitting there and I'm standing there and I'm like, oh crap. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. I got handed the bill, looked at it twice because it was over $200 for beers and hot dogs, and signed it like it was nothing. Did not care. You want to know what was the greatest moment of that day? Not buying the Marines, them all standing up and going, thank you. That to me was worth every penny of it. That's how unselfish of a guy I used to be. Now I'm a penny pincher, an old man with 2 kids, and I watch every dime that goes through my pocket, as Aaron, I'm sure, pretty much does with his 3 kiddos.
Has the times changed?
If you went and put a line in Vegas on Aaron and I to get married with having kids, the line would have been 1,000,000 to 1. However, we each found the one person in the world who could change our minds. And I don't know who was harder to believe. Was it me or Aaron was harder to believe? I mean, the funny thing is I got married first. And that's not a surprise. I'm older. It's not a surprise. The day I came back and told Aaron that I'm engaged, he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. Neither did anybody else where I worked. I had to show a picture of the ring and on her finger to believe it. But now I'm off the table. Not that I'm a great catch or anything. Hey, look, I tout myself. I'm off the table. If there was a line in Vegas at 10,000,000 to 1 that Aaron would never have gotten married and not have kids, I would have bet it and bet it big. However, he calls me one day, he says, dude, I'm engaged. I'm like, yeah, okay. And he said, no, dude, we're engaged. And I'm like, thank God I didn't bet. However, I can't picture my life without my family. And I'm pretty sure Aaron can't either. However, Aaron's kids are asleep most likely, as they are younger than Troy and Charlotte. So Aaron got to see Charlotte and Troy for the first time. I mean, Troy for the first time, but also got to see Charlotte, who we hadn't seen since she was a baby. Mm-hmm. And I can definitely say, if it was up to me, I'd move Aaron back here. And if I were to win the Powerball, and I've already told the guys for the SIN network, I'm buying the network from them. I'm opening a baseball card store, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm making it a high-rise building for the network and this. I've only said there's 2 people I would hire outside of SIN, and that's Aaron Mackles and Casey Auerbach. Casey is another story for another time. He will actually be joining us once, hopefully, and get him on when he's not working. But I was very lucky to have a friend in Aaron, and I still am. Unfortunately, right now, this is the only way we've been able to see each other in the last year. It's tough, with everything going on. But at least we're on the same side of the continent now, so maybe we can figure out
some zone.
Yeah, Aaron's no longer in the Central. But I want to thank Aaron for taking the time. I know he has a very, very busy day every day with what he does. Then coming home to now 3 kids again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm glad to see you still have hair. You haven't cut it all out or ripped. That's the one good thing about Aaron, is he cut his hair so short he couldn't rip out his own hair. Please stay tuned for more events here on the Sports Insanity Network. Follow us at www.thesportsinsанitynetwork.com for our pun master likes to say, our blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, automobiles, everything from any sport that you can possibly think of. We'll cover it. Come and check us out. Follow us on Facebook. Go to Twitter. Our handle is SIN Real. Check us out on Twitter. Write to us. You want to see a show done about something having to do with baseball cards? I'm your guy. We have many talented writers here and guys who do blogs. We got the Blitzers for NFL starting very soon, so be on the watch. We just did our fantasy draft live, in which I can't see how I got a C- with the team I have, but whatever. Everybody, I want to again thank Aaron Mackles for joining us tonight, and we'd like to hopefully find time to have Aaron on a little bit more when he has time. But right now, he's got his arms filled, and I'm sure he would like to spend a little time with his wife tonight before they go to bed. So we're going to let him go do that, as I'm going to do the same thing. But I'm very lucky to have you on tonight, Aaron. Thank you.
No, thank you. This was fantastic. Really appreciate it.
And, we have other stories that we can tell. Aaron, this is our Vice President in charge, Danny Boy Reginald.
Hey,
How's it
Great
going?
Great
Been listening.
conversation. Great conversation. I really enjoyed it.
They brought me on a year ago, and they're sorry they ever did. They cry every time I'm live with them because I'm a Mets and Cowboys fan of the group.
You know what they say, face for radio.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I have. But everybody, Dan, is there? What's the other Twitter handle? I always forget it. I have SIN Real.
At Insanity Real, that's the network.
Right.
Twitter.
Thank you.
And I mean, I can't think of anything on top of my head, but we'll search for SIN, whatever the podcast is.
That's it, it's right.
Podcast, Breakaway Bandits.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to find.
Right, and we'll be coming live Thursday night and Sundays for our NFL show. And the NFL is 2 weeks away, and of course, I'm gonna have to deal another year. However, I'm gonna be able to pick on Patchy and this guy because they have a quarterback with no receivers. The Green Bay Packers are going to cut the cheese a lot this year. Personally,
We'll see.
I think Aaron Rodgers will be fine. It's my prediction, but whatever.
He's also in the NFC North, so let's just
Exactly.
Well, that's going to be interesting division pretty much all the way around. But
I mean, the Bears are going to be the worst team in football. So
I definitely agree. It's going to be a fight for the Bears and the Lions to be the worst, but we'll see.
No, I think the Lions will actually, win one or two more games, but we'll see what Vikings team shows up this year.
I'm going to ask your opinion on another thing quickly. What about the Jets? What are you thinking about the Jets?
What do I think about the Jets?
Yes.
The part that's unfortunate being South Carolina, this is college football land. So they get a lot more focus on the college end, but I'd feel much better about the Jets than I would the Giants right now. I'll tell you that.
Woo-hoo! I was doing that for his benefit because he's a Jet fan.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I think it's that's still going to be a tough division. The way the Bills are playing, but we'll see what Patriot team shows up this year, and Jets give it the good old college try. I mean, they certainly had one heck of a draft.
Yeah. I mean, I don't trust it until I see wins and anything that's a winning season. I need to see that. Then I'll buy it. Right now, until then, it's just we're good on paper.
Yeah, they're good on paper, and it's let's talk about Zach Wilson's social life more instead of worrying about what's going on the football field.
What a disaster.
But if you want to see more of Aaron Mackles and you would be interested to hear what his opinions are on the football season, write to us here. We can always send some stuff to Aaron. I'm sure Aaron wouldn't mind coming on once in a while if he has the time with his hands full and give his report on the NFL and what's going on. And I'm sure Dan and them wouldn't mind another voice every now and then.
The more the merrier, honestly.
Yes. But otherwise, that is it for us tonight on this special edition of the 101 in the 19th hole. I hope you all enjoyed, and we will be checking out with another episode next week. Thank you all for coming by.
Thanks, guys.